This video is brought to you by Brilliant. Today, France deploys Riot police to its overseas territory Martinique. 500 people are killed in Lebanon, and Zelenskyy meets President Biden. From TLDR News, this is your daily briefing for Tuesday the 24th of September 2024. Our main story is that France is still struggling to contain violent outbreaks of social unrest in its overseas territories due to the cost of living crisis. On Sunday, France sent a group of anti-riot police to its overseas territory Martinique, following riots that resulted in a nighttime curfew across parts of the Caribbean island. And in the Pacific territory of New Caledonia, fears of fresh unrest are also rising. This is largely to do with the cost of living crisis, which has hit France's overseas territories harder and longer than in metropolitan France. According to national statistics, Martinique residents pay an estimated 30 to 42% more for food compared to the residents of mainland France. The poverty rate is nearly twice that of mainland France, and unemployment is stubbornly high at 18%. So last week, violent protests broke out in Martinique, with gunfire injuring at least 6 police officers and 1 civilian. Police reportedly launched tear gas, and officials said several stores were looted. In response, France's central government banned protests in several municipalities until Monday and issued a 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew in parts of the capital. Now, France also has sent its elite riot police force, the Companies for Republican Security, or CRS, to Martinique, which politicians on the left say could inflame tensions further. The CRS was actually banned in Martinique following clashes in December 1959, when the unit was accused of using disproportionate force against young protesters, several of whom were killed. For this reason, the CRS is rarely deployed in France's Caribbean territories, but it was called on in 2009 during the riots in Guadeloupe. Additionally, last week in the French overseas territory of New Caledonia, police killed 2 men during an overnight operation. This raised the death toll on the Pacific island to 13 since the unrest began, with some 3,000 people arrested. On Tuesday, barricades were put up in one district of the capital, Nouméa, where clashes have been ongoing since May, and about 6,000 officers were to be deployed across New Caledonia amid fears of fresh clashes. Anyway, this is bad news for France's new government, led by centre-right Prime Minister Michel Barnier. Along with budgetary issues, a dire fiscal situation, and internal political chaos, the ongoing social unrest in France's overseas territories will be one of the most pressing issues for the new French cabinet. There's more on the way, but remember to subscribe and ring the bell for more daily briefing tomorrow. Plus, if you want to support the channel like Bengt Samuelsson, then consider joining the TLDR daily membership program for just $1.99. Moving to Lebanon now, where Israeli missile strikes have killed almost 500 people, in what's now being described as Lebanon's deadliest day for decades. Lebanon's health ministry additionally claimed that 1,645 people were also injured. The attacks took place from Israeli warplanes and struck targets across the country. For Israel's part, they claim that the attacks were targeted against Hezbollah. This has caused consternation in the international community, with the US warning Israel on Sunday not to open up a full-blown war against the Iranian-backed group. White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre explained that the risk of escalation is real and that we continue to believe a diplomatic resolution is both achievable and urgent. The IDF, though, have said that they have already hit 1,600 Hezbollah targets and that they would continue to strike buildings in which they believed the militant group was storing weapons. Speaking about this plan, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu explained, "We are not waiting for the threat, we're preempting it." He added, "We're eliminating senior figures, terrorists and missiles. I promised that we would change the security balance, the balance of power in the north. That is exactly what we're doing." China has unleashed a swath of stimulus measures to try and boost its ailing economy. In a rare public briefing on Tuesday, the People's Bank of China also announced government funding to boost the stock market and aid share buybacks, as well as more support for the stricken property sector. It's been described as the biggest and most significant stimulus package since the early days of the pandemic. The People's Bank of China will reduce banks' reserve requirement ratios, or RRRs, by 0.5% and cut a key policy rate by 0.2 percentage points to 1.5%. Interest rates on existing mortgages will also be reduced by 0.5 percentage points on average. The bank also lowered mortgage down payments for second homes to 15% from 25%. International investment banks have also lowered their original forecast for China's growth rate this year, and some economists and experts remain skeptical that these new measures will help China hit its 5% growth target this year. They argue that given extremely weak credit demand from businesses and consumers, that these policies fail to support real economic activity and that more fiscal stimulus is needed. Critics also say that these measures have come just too late, while others have argued it's better late than never. Moving to Ukraine now, where President Zelenskyy is set to present a plan for victory against Russia to President Joe Biden in his visit this week to the US. The embattled leader argued on Twitter that this autumn would determine the future of this war. In a separate statement prior to the visit, Zelenskyy added that there were to be at least 3 elements of his plan: further weapons donations, diplomatic efforts to force Russia to agree to peace, and holding Russia accountable for its full-scale invasion in 2022. We don't know yet what else President Zelenskyy will ask Biden for, although we do know he's asked Western leaders on multiple occasions to let him use Storm Shadow missiles inside Russia. For his part, Russian President Vladimir Putin has stated that he would consider this to be direct participation by the NATO military alliance in the war. We'll update you on what's said and agreed at the meeting later in the week. In the final uplifting story today, we discuss Pesto, a fat baby penguin and viral superstar. Pesto is the name of what the BBC describes as a chocolatey brown, obscenely fluffy baby penguin who lives in Melbourne's Sea Life Aquarium. His distinct size, which has led to him being described as an absolute unit and a linebacker, has made him particularly famous online and on TV. Jacinta Early, who works at the aquarium, explained that the baby penguin now eclipses his parents, which makes him look comically large. She went on to explain that he's healthy and that he's essentially half fluff, and that soon he'll begin to lose weight naturally. She also explained that he's a social butterfly who chatters away in a cute little whistle tone and loves annoying the adult penguins. She added that he tends to be the first one to kind of say hi to the keepers and also does respond to his name. What do the world's best politicians have in common? They're willing to learn something new every day. And if you think that sounds too hard or too time-consuming or just too overwhelming for you to do, then you haven't tried Brilliant.org. Brilliant is where you learn by doing, with thousands of interactive lessons in maths, data analysis, programming, and AI. Like I said though, the real value here is that you can do this easily every day, truly committing to lifelong learning. Slowly, over time, you'll not only pick up new skills or get better at maths, but you'll also feel the satisfaction that comes with bettering yourself and staying ahead. For instance, if like many world leaders, you want to get better at handling finances, you might want to check out the ton of new data science content Brilliant has just released, all of which uses real-world data to train you to see trends and make better informed decisions. They're perfect for learners of any level to start or continue learning data analysis, with a full suite of new content covering data visualizations, algorithms, regression models, and more. Plus, you can gain additional insight by working with real datasets from sources like Airbnb, Spotify, Starbucks, and more. To try everything Brilliant has to offer free for a full 30 days, click on the link in the description.